Weeds are probably the most common pest that we deal with in lawns. There are actually different major classes of weeds that are important to know because it determines how you treat them. The first classification is annual weeds versus perennial weeds. Annual weeds germinate as seed in the early spring, complete their growth cycle in one season, produce a lot more seed, and die. Crabgrass is probably our best example of an annual weed. Perennial weeds survive from season to season and can grow for many seasons. They also produce seed. They also spread what's called vegetatively as the plant expands and it grows more and more. Dandelion is a great example of a perennial weed. The other classification of weeds is grassy weeds versus broadleaf weeds. Grassy weeds include the crabgrasses, of course. Annual bluegrass is another good example. Broadleaf weeds are dandelions, purslane, chickweed, any number of weeds that have bigger leaves. Dealing with weeds is a matter of preference. Hand weeding or mechanical weeding is the best, requires no chemicals. Depends on how widespread the problem is, of course. The other method of controlling weeds is using herbicides or chemicals, of course. Annual weeds, the weeds that germinate from seed in the spring, are best treated with herbicides called pre-emergence. Typically find them blended with fertilizers that you apply early in the spring, just before the germination window. The idea is that the herbicides nip the new seedlings and the weeds don't mature. Perennial weeds are best controlled by hand weeding again or using post-emergent broadleaf chemicals or herbicides. The best approach to minimize the use of chemicals again is spot treatment with a small hand sprayer, actually spraying one weed like dandelions one at a time. Perennial broadleaf weeds are best treated in the fall. It's important to know what the weed species is that you're dealing with. You may be dealing with multiple species. Seeking advice from a knowledgeable garden center employee or from the University Extension Service, the USDA Extension Service is another source, or there's a tremendous amount of information online if you like to do that kind of research.